welcome to From Market to Table. Today, Chef Mark has decided to join us again, at least for this show.
Okay.
And he's going to start with a lemon chicken.
Okay, this recipe is a classic that I've been serving for probably 20 years. It was introduced to me by a friend, and it is so simple that you won't believe it. There's only 4 ingredients. The other thing is it is so versatile. I'm going to show you later on a variety of ways of serving it. It can be served hot, it can be served cold. But first, we're going to start by taking a chicken breast. And chicken breasts today tend to be a little larger than they used to be. So I'm going to cut this chicken breast by laying it on a cutting board and slicing through it. I want about a 4 to 5 ounce portion. So I can get 3 cutlets out of each chicken breast. And then we'll place them on the cutting board and cover them with a piece of plastic wrap. And this is to primarily keep you clean. And you can use a meat mallet, but if you have a meat mallet that has different degrees of tenderizing, you want to go with the smallest. So I'm going to go with the flat side, and
Why is that?
well, because
like
chicken is so tender. Whereas beef, you want to really clobber beef usually, especially if you're using something like a round steak or a piece of chuck. But chicken is very tender, so we just want to kind of flatten it out a little bit. Making sure that you do not break through the flesh. Now, if you don't have a meat mallet, don't go out and buy one. You can take the side of your French knife and just hit it with the side of your French knife. Either way will accomplish the task. You want to set your oven for 350 degrees, and you're going to use seasoned breadcrumbs. Now, if you like a lot of seasoning, you can add a little pepper. But since I'm using salted butter, I don't think it needs any salt. We're going to just put the Italian breadcrumbs, which have seasonings in them. And then you just melt about a 1/4 pound of butter and take your fillets or your cutlets of chicken, dip them in the butter, and then place them in the breadcrumbs. And you want to get a pretty good coating on here. And actually, when you roll this up, it kind of creates a bread stuffing on the inside. So not only is it going to look good from the outside, it's going to have that extra breading on the inside. And this does work with gluten-free breadcrumbs. I have tried it because I've served parties that require that. I want to take the least good-looking piece of chicken and roll it into the center because I want the outside to be as smooth as possible. I put it in an untreated pan because I'm using butter. You don't need to add any more oil or grease. So we just want to coat this pretty generously. Now, if your chicken is cold and your butter is warm, a lot of butter is going to stick to that chicken. So you might need a little more than a 1/4 pound of butter, depending on how cold your chicken is. Then start at the small end, roll it up, place it in the pan.
What's it? Not a super messy. You're not frying chicken or anything, so it's easy for like a nighttime meal or a week meal.
It's very healthy. Now it does have the butter, but it sure beats pan frying, and it sure beats deep frying. I was at my daughter's house last week, and I was making this, and she said, make sure you make extra because it's great leftover. So we just roll that up, and then you're going to garnish it, and the garnish is not only for appearance, it's also for flavor. The lemon has a lot of oil in the rind, so you want to have the lemon on there so that the oil will seep into the chicken. And then you can either use fresh lemon and squeeze it, but at the price of lemons, I do it this way. You want to add about a teaspoon of lemon juice to each chicken breast. And we'll place that in a 350-degree oven. If you're doing a full pan, like if this was packed full with 8 or 10, I would cover it for the first 10 minutes. But if you're just doing a few and there's a little bit of space between them, you don't need to cover it. And then I would say between 25 and 30 minutes at 350 degrees, and it just comes out tender and juicy. If you're a little concerned, if you have a meat thermometer, 365 degrees internal temperature, but super easy, and I think you'll enjoy the finished product. But it's a great.
My family definitely would, because they love lemon.
Good, good.
All right, I'm gonna take over and start a salmon salad. You just want salmon fillets, you want them cut. I started off with a pound and they cut it into like 5 pieces. You're gonna brush it with butter, each piece. Now, if the salmon has skin on it, it's fine to cook it with the skin side down. And after it bakes, it comes apart from the skin, so it's easy. This salmon does not have skin, so. You just place a little bit of butter on top of each fillet. Now the store sells this Salmon Magic. I love it. I use it on salmon, plus I use it on whitefish too. It just has really great seasoning. So you want to sprinkle each one with seasoning, depending on how much seasoning you like. Add as much or as little. And you won't need any like pepper or salt, because this does have salt and pepper in it too. And blackening seasoning is great too, so we'll just add that.
This is one of those things where you can season to your family's taste.
Exactly, and we like a lot of seasoning, so, well, my husband and I do, the kids do not, so theirs is less. You'll place this in a 450-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how thick your salmon fillets are. So I'm gonna move that out of the way. And I'm gonna start with the salad mixture that goes on top. So I just have spring mix. I'm gonna add about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. You just wanna put it right over top. And then just balsamic vinegar, probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons of that. And this is nice because you would like it to sit, it wilts a little bit while the salmon's cooking. So we'll just toss that to get the olive oil and the balsamic vinegar covering all the spring mix.
If you're not familiar with the balsamic vinegar, you need to try it. My wife and I have gotten to the point that we don't buy salad dressing anymore. We buy a variety of different balsamics and the olive oil, and that's a great salad dressing for just about any salad.
Well, and it's healthier, no preservatives.
Yes.
I toasted pine nuts, so you'll want to use about a 1/4 cup of pine nuts. And they're better when they're toasted, they have a better flavor. Also a 1/4 cup of cranberry craisins. And you'll just toss all of that. And now I have a piece of flatbread. Now when I'm cooking it at home, I'll tear it all apart, but for presentation purposes, I'll leave it full. So all you're gonna do is top it with the salad mixture. And then I already have salmon that's done. And you'll just place a piece of salmon right on top. And then
great.
I love goat cheese, so it's a pretty topper. And you could add more craisins on top just for like garnish, but that is a salmon salad. It's pretty easy for a weeknight or even for a dinner party. It's pretty.
And I know summer seems like it's a long way away, but that looks like a great meal for summertime.
Just refreshing and not heavy.
Absolutely.
Well,
very nice.
Turn it back over to you.
Okay, when our chicken comes out of the oven, you want it to be just slightly browned. And the person that taught me this, one of her favorite sayings is, "That'll buffet." We can put it on a buffet. It holds up very well in a chafing dish or on a heated platter. It looks nice, and it works with so many different things. I have it here with a side of pasta. I took some tomatoes, hollowed them out, put them under the broiler for about 6 minutes, cooked some peas, put the peas in, so we have the color, we have variety, and we have the lemon chicken. But it's great, as I said, leftover. Now, you can serve this either hot or cold, but what I like to do is take the chicken and slice down through it. And you can see the pinwheel effect. In that, you can place it on a bed of rice, you can put it with potatoes, or the way we like it at my house is just put it on a bed of lettuce, and you have, again, a great summer salad, a great main course salad, and the lemon chicken, you can reheat it very easily in the microwave. You can serve it cold. You can even make a sandwich with it. It really, with this and a little provolone cheese melted over top on a bagel, is a great sandwich. But plate presentation is so important. It makes a great plate presentation when it's a buffet. It makes a nice plate presentation when it's an individual. And literally, any side that you choose to put with it, it's going to go, because it's such a nice, mild flavor. It doesn't come back and bite you like so many dishes that have so many spices in them.
Right.
This is very simple, and it's going to be soft and moist and juicy all the way through. So there's
it's
lemon
definitely
chicken.
a recipe you want to make a lot of when you make it, because then you can use it a couple of nights in the week
and when
in
you
different ways.
Only 4 ingredients. It's great.
All right, well, I'm going to finish off with these no-bake energy bites. You're going to start with a cup of oats, a half a cup of mini chocolate chips, semi-sweet. This is a great after-school snack, and they're so easy. You can keep them in the freezer when you're not using them. You also use a half a cup of flaxseed that's ground.
Flaxseed is a great additive. We've added to our oatmeal in the morning.
I've never used it until last night. I found
really?
this recipe. I've had it in my thing. I've had whole, but I think I used it for
We
one
use
other recipe, and I finally
use
threw it.
flaxseed in a variety of ways, but it's great in oatmeal.
What other ways do you use it?
Well, I've used it in a meatloaf to bind it up if I have someone who's gluten intolerant.
Oh, okay.
Instead of your breadcrumbs or cracker crumbs, it goes in breads. It goes in granola. If you're making homemade granola, for instance, our traditional recipe for granola has wheat germ in it.
Okay.
Well, if we're going to make it for someone who can't have wheat germ, we use the oatmeal and the flaxseed, and then the raisins and whatever else
that's
we put
great.
in. But yeah, flaxseed, it's very versatile. Also, 1 tablespoon of flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of water set on the counter for about 5 minutes is a good substitute for an egg. So if you have someone who's egg intolerant, flaxseed and water makes a great egg substitute.
Well, that's neat. I just added a half a cup of crunchy peanut butter. You do want to use crunchy peanut butter in this. It gives it more texture. And then we'll use a third a cup of honey. It's always nice to use local honey. It's good for your immune system too. So we'll just do that. I made these last night for the first time and ended up making 2 batches because
They must have been
everybody
successful.
had some.
They must have been successful.
And then you'll finish off with a teaspoon of vanilla.
With so many food allergies today, it's so important to read labels. And last week I was a guest speaker at a preschool, and so many of the children had different allergies, from soy to gluten to egg to dairy. And this would be a dish that would probably suit anybody except for peanuts.
And you can use chunky almond or
Yes.
cashew. There's so many options. And a lot of schools don't let you even take peanut butter
Right.
into them anymore. So now you're just going to try to mix this all together. It's a little sticky. But it's easy, and you can make these ahead of time, and you actually put them in the freezer anyways to set. And so you can just store them in the freezer, and they're good in there forever. So it's kind of a healthier version of a no-bake cookie.
Yes. And this would be
Without
another
the
thing-
extra sugar. I mean, you have a little bit of
Right.
chocolate, but
But
that's
this
it.
would be something you could involve your kids with.
The one did help me last night. But I think he ate more than actually
Well,
putting it on the, rolling it out.
I've been trying to get my grandchildren involved to help in the kitchen. I think that's important.
It is really important. My son, actually, my grandfather, when he was alive, his thing was to make pastels for every holiday. Well, it was snowy out a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I found my grandfather's pastel irons in the garage. And my son's like, and I was looking through recipes, and he saw my grandpa's handwriting, so we decided to make pastels. And he was pretty excited to take it to a family gathering.
Yes.
So all you're gonna do is, once it's all incorporated, you're just gonna roll them into balls, and then you place them on a cookie sheet, and you're gonna place them in the freezer for at least an hour so they can set. And you can leave them in the freezer, you can put them out in a
But they look
container.
pretty set as it is. It's
Yeah.
not like yeah. Well, we've got to get our kids to eat more healthy, and this certainly would be an easy way to do that.
Yes, and that's the finished product, which doesn't look much different than that. But-
Okay.
well, thank you for joining us
Well,
today.
my pleasure, and we've got some dishes for all year round, and we've got some dishes for summertime. Hopefully this will be helpful.
Well, thank you. We'll see you at the market.